It's just it's just a lot of disrespect towards us. A lot of people just think that the West Coast is kind of soft and they don't really deserve to play football. And it's kind of disrespectful because all guys deserve to play football. Everybody loves football. Like, I came from Alaska. I didn't really care if I was playing football in Alaska or in Alabama. Like, we have such a passion for the game out here. And so when we're put in these great scenes, and it kind of feels like we're kind of being diminished, it's definitely like a hard pill to swallow. So, we definitely want to represent, our region really well.
How does a guy from Alaska develop a passion, an obsession for the game of football?
Well, there's not too much to do in Alaska, so play little league football, and like literally, like, it's just one of those things where you just kind of love it, and I remember as a kid, like, I would like imagine myself as America's team, like those little documentaries that they had on NFL Network, and like every time we won state, I would think about like myself being the guy interviewed like on like a game-to-game basis. So it's just been great. I always loved football, like from a young age, like to the point where like I almost cried when my parents were like, if you don't get your grades up, you're not gonna play. And I'm just so it's been it's been a whirlwind. I love the sport. So
by the way, I can confirm there's not a lot to do in Alaska. My brother Kevin was sick in Alaska for 3 years, right? So there you go, man. As I turn you loose, you're an underdog again in this game.
Yeah.
How much have you all talked about that?
We've been an underdog basically all year. There's been games in our own conference that we've been underdogs in. At the end of the day, they're 1, we're 2. So I mean, like, what is an underdog? Like, you just got to go win the game. Like when everything's on the line, does it even matter who's the underdog? Like, it's all about execution, all about winning this game, and representing for people that you love and that you respect and who brought you here. So that's what it's all about.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too. Yeah. Yeah, appreciate you, man. How you doing?
Ryan Hill,
Right. Nice to meet you.
I know you've told your story many times, so I want to go through a little bit the walk-on in the story.
Yeah.
Out of high school, what was the interest you had from the schools?
I had offers from Robert Morris and NAU, and by the time it was time to make a decision, I think the staff at NAU or at Robert Morris got fired, so it really left me with NAU, and I just kind of felt like I wanted to take a risk, take a chance, and kind of talked to my parents and asked them if I could walk on and they can pay some tuition a little bit, and they believed in me, and I really appreciate that. And how I got to Washington was that, like, I literally did my research. I was researching every single Pac-12 school, and I just felt like Washington was like a perfect fit for me. And like literally randomly, like a week later, their tight ends coach Jordan Powell called me, and he said, we're going to offer you a preferred walk-on in the middle of class. And I took it. He's like, are you sure you don't want to talk to your parents about this? And I'm like, I think they'll be fine. Like, I think it'll be a good pick.
Did you reach out to them that you were interested?
I asked my coach to. I don't know if he ever did, but it just kind of, I guess they got some word of me, so.
Why do you feel you were overlooked in high school?
I had a lot of talented players. Like, I played with like the number 1 linebacker in the country. I played with the number 1 tight end in the country, number 1 QB in the country. As high school players, it's just kind of how it happens. It's out of my control, but I knew I was a good player, and I knew that I could give a lot to a team. So that's kind of why I wanted to walk on. But it's just the way the cards were dealt. I don't really like to think about it too much, but it's just, it is what it is.
Back then, in the best case scenario, did you envision this?
Man, you kind of you visualize it, you imagine them, but you obviously know that a lot of this is out of your control, and a lot of this is, it's hard to do, but you always work towards it, and it's definitely a blessing to be here. But to say that, like, when I walked in here on campus that I was going to be at the national championship, probably not. Probably had a lot more objectives, of course, but this is awesome. This is definitely something that we've been working towards for a long time. So. Man, no, I did not. I just remember sitting in the middle row, like basically the middle row of the front row of the team meeting room, and like everybody like jumping on me and breaking the chair, and I literally sit in that chair like every single day, So it was a special moment, just being able to call my parents and tell them that they don't got to pay tuition no more because we played out of state and that's really expensive. It was just a special moment. That's a special moment, and it just made me, very grateful and more inspired to keep going, and not just be like a guy that got on scholarship and then it just kind of like plateaus for us. It's clear. I like to think that I got better from that moment. So
Yeah, might have been asked about this already. 5 starters on defense, 6 new guys, 7
Yeah.
starters, offensive defense. Why do you think that is? Why did all you guys come back together? And then the other thing is, how much does that help you guys when you're playing this stretch of close games?
well, I think injuries have a lot to play in the part that why all of us are at year 6. But at the end of the day, Coach DeBoer coached us. He recruited the heck out of us, and we have a lot of gratitude to him. And then just a belief in ourselves and a belief in this team and a belief that we can get something like this done, kind of like kept us all together and made us not want to go to the league or to enter the transfer portal. Because we believed in this program, we believed in this team, and we wanted this moment to happen for this team and this university. I think I give that more to this staff, because there's been a lot of times where I've lost those close games with other staffs, and just the way that we're brought up, where we can just be resilient, no matter what type of situation that we're in. I give a lot of credit to Coach Matt, Coach DeBoer, and the staff in terms of just being able to mentally be ready for any type of thing that goes our way.
So Michigan has proven throughout the season to have a very good offensive line.
Yeah.
But your offensive line for your team won the Joe Moore Award.
Correct.
How do you think practicing against them every single day helped you prepare for this moment?
I mean, yeah, our offensive line is, very aggressive, they're very fast, and they are one of the best O-lines I played, And, I got to give a lot of credit to Michigan's O-line, too, because not only have they been an elite O-line, they've been an elite O-line for years and years. When I played them in 21, they were extremely dominant, and they've only gotten better since then. So, obviously, our offensive line, they do an incredible job of just taking care of Mike and give DJ a lot of lanes. But, Michigan has, a different sort of scheme, and, they – Blake Corn's a really lucky running back, to play behind those guys. And, you just got to find your way to decipher that, figure out their schemes, their keys, and, be ready to go. Appreciate it.
So moving forward, the plans with pre-med, I heard?
Yeah, pre-med Rex. Just finished the pre-med Rex, graduated with a degree in public and global health.
And what do you hope you get to do?
I want to do pediatrics, I want to take care of kids and stuff. So, yeah, that's kind of, the main goal. And then obviously I want to start doing a little things internationally in terms of just shrinking health disparities in certain communities. So lots of work to do after football.
But still want to keep playing football.
Of course, as long as possible. So, yeah.
But when you look back at your story, just the totality,
Yeah.
what makes you most proud and what stands out to you just when you think about it?
I think as a freshman, I had all these big goals and, I want to play football. I want to, do all this. And then I want to go to med school and do all those other things. And, towards that process, there was a lot of times where I'm just thinking to myself, man, this is hard. I don't know how people do this. This makes sense why people can't do both. And just to be able to get to this point and to say that I'm, in a very comfortable position of being able to accomplish both those things it's a whirlwind, and it's just a testament to, the man upstairs for always taking care of me and always, keeping me in my good spirits and, just not giving up, not letting anybody tell you what you can and can't do, because the world will tell you what you can't do, but, at the end of the day, it's all God and it's all His will, it's no one else's will. So I'm very grateful, just very grateful at all.
This very last question. What was the moment in Washington where you did, I can read something?
I would say the Oregon State game my sophomore year, where I was still a walk-on and the starting Mike got hurt, and I was literally the only linebacker left, and so I basically had a great game, won conference player of the week, and I thought okay, I might actually be as good as I think I am. So that was a pretty special moment. Thank you.
Hey, Eddie, you mentioned Oregon State, and looking at this year's game against Oregon State, this is a team that came in with a pretty good running back.
Yeah.
And you guys battled even in the ring.
Yeah.
What does it take to slow down a good running team?
You have to be very precise with your fits. You got to understand every single scheme, because at the end of the day, when you play like dominant running teams. Like they're gonna do their job. Their pulls are gonna be super tight. They're gonna be super crisp, and the running backs aren't just gonna let you get tackled. So, at the end of the day, you got to be able to know what type of schemes you're fitting. You got to know what your D line is doing, and you got to be able to go downhill and play fast. You can't just be stagnant and playing back and kind of let things come to you, because that's when they get their yards. And it's always about nipping things in the butt. Don't let things prolong, and don't let drives get elongated, because that's when they get you. So it's always about being disciplined, getting them down immediately, and not letting them gas you.
That's going to be a key Monday, isn't it?
A huge key, for sure.
How much fun was that at the UW? We were down here in Houston. We saw the video, but it was like boys in the boat over again with the crowd sitting you up. How special is that moment?
I mean, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible, and I've heard stories about what it's like when UW is at its best, and just to be able to see the city send us off that way is special, and it's the reason why I came here, because I love, when I say I love Husky Nation, I really do. When I'm watching the old games and I'm seeing the culture, the '85 Orange Bowl, the '91 Rose Bowl, when you see those games, and you can just tell why there's such a thick culture and a thick, rich love and passion for Husky football here. And, as a player, understanding that, I take a lot of pride in being able to give my best effort and putting my best foot forward, because the fans deserve it. The city deserves it. This place means the world to me. So, I take it to heart. I really do.
Last question for me. It's
Yeah.
a full team sport, but you guys have won 10 straight now by 10 or 2 points. You've heard that stat. How key are those 9 guys on the team that have played on this team for 6 years, having veterans on the field on those big moments like that? How key is that?
I think we just have a lot of experience of not winning those close games, and just through reflecting and understanding what could we have done different in the past. Playing 6 years, you play a lot of games, you've been in a lot of scenarios, but you start to learn and you get to improve, and that's the most important thing. We've gone to improve week in and week out, and although we would rather win by 20 for the rest of these games, but being in these close games, it allows us to being able to execute at a high pressure, at a high level consistently. So I wouldn't have it any other way, but it's just we try to play our best game every single time we get out there. Yeah.
Eddie, how does that experience of those close games this season, defense coming up big, how does that prepare you for a national championship game?
Prepares it a lot. Understanding that at this point, every single team is talented, and at the end of the day, it's always who wants it more. Obviously, I'm not expecting for a blowout or anything but that, but I'm expecting 12 rounds. I'm expecting a team to give us their best punch, and we're gonna give them our best punch. And at a game basis, anything can happen, and just there's gonna be a moment in the game where it's gonna be super intense, super high, and someone's gonna win the game. And that's kind of where my mindset's at.
Steve talked about its belief level all season and how that's reflected on the field. What does that look like in the days heading up to the national championship?
Just the mindset of just it's still another game. It's still another 60-minute game, and that you have to win it. There's no titles before this game. You know what I mean? So it's always about doing your job, keeping the main thing, and just not making the moment bigger than it needs to be.
What's one thing that you hope to show on the field Monday night?
Just the heart to passion. My last game in college. The only thing I want to show is that I gave it my all. There's nothing left after this for me, so I'm gonna make sure that every single snap will count.
If you look up at the scoreboard and Washington has more points than Michigan, national champion by the end of the night, what went right for the Huskies?
Ask me that question on Monday.
Repping the Pac-12 in the last hurrah. How important is that for you?
It's huge. It's huge because, there's a lot of pride in being a West Coast team. There's a lot of, stigma towards it about whether we're soft or, what this or what that means. But, we have a tremendous pride. Our families come here. A lot of people on this team are from the West Coast. So not only are we playing, for the University of Washington, but we're playing for, the people that are from Cali, the people are from Arizona, and that, there's a certain stigma that's aligned to it. We take a lot of pride in where we're from, and that, we have a lot of people on our back. Yeah.
What was that moment like when you got put on scholarship? How did that whole process go about?
Man, so it was literally right after Pete retired, and I kind of thought that I was going to get it because he just left. But the first team meeting, coach kind of walks up and he's talking about like dogs, and he starts to mention me, and like it's kind of going over my head about what's going on in the moment, but like he pauses, and I'm like, that's when I finally clicked. And then once I didn't even think I heard him say that I got put on scholarship. The next thing I just knew that the whole team was just like on me, celebrating with me, and it was just a special moment. Like to this day, like I still sit in that chair to that very day, and it just meant a lot because I worked. At that point, I worked my butt off just to be recognized as like a respectable player on the team, and to get on scholarship just meant like I got a lot of respect from a lot of people. So it meant the world to me.
What was the biggest difference in terms of like being a walk-on versus being on scholarship beyond just not having to pay for those checks?
I mean, like mentally, nothing, because I always wanted to play at the highest level possible. And whether I was a walk-on or not, I was always trying to be better, always trying to be the best player that I can be. Now, the checks were very, very important during the process of that. Not having to ask my dad for tuition every 10 weeks was pretty sweet. And it's just, honestly, my mindset before and after the scholarship was just not letting the scholarship be like the peak of my career, and always just trying to get better and always trying to bring another step to my game. After that, I just try to be the best player, that I can be, whether that's like be a starter, be an all-conference player, be an all-American, whatever those goals would be, just take it to the next step in everything that you do.
And how special has this run been, given so many guys have been either in your recruiting class or kind of thereabouts, all those veterans?
Means the world, just being here for 6 years, understanding that it's been a long ride, been on a 4-8 team, lost a head coach, lost a lot of brothers during this ride, and just be able to finish strong. And this is the strongest we ever finished. And being able to, I came from a Rose Bowl. My first year was the Rose Bowl. So, like, in my head, I'm thinking to myself, like, however I got in, I got to give it back. And to be able to give this back on my last year, it means the world. And it means that, I really appreciated the people that have came before me. Appreciate it. Yep. It was great. It was a great time out there, I thought we were coming too. I know, but it's all good. Shout out to Florida State. It's Florida State's fault we didn't go to the Rose Bowl. Yeah, I know. It's going good. Oh, you don't want to get on the stage, That's crazy. My favorite question, the one that you're about to ask me. Oh, what's the question you're gonna ask me? You said what? For the story? I don't like that question. I don't like it that much. It's. I mean, technically, I would lie if I didn't say that though. So technically, it is my favorite question. I mean, I guess I have to. I don't have a choice, do I? Okay. What's up, Husky Nation? It's Edefuan Ulofoshio. We're here at Houston, Texas for CFP Championship Media Day, and having a blast, getting a lot of work done today. So, tune in. Thank you, man. You're a beast. Shout out to you. You're great. Yeah.
And he said tune in.
Can you tell me about your childhood in Alaska?
My childhood in Alaska. Oh my gosh. I would say very uneventful, but very eventful at the same time. Went to Huffman Elementary. There's been a lot of days where I go on the bus and then like I'll see a moose like right in front of my house, and I'm just like, I guess I'm not going home right now, and I just have to take a block around and see if it's gone. But it was cool. It's a very beautiful state. A lot of times where, like went skiing with the friends, ice skating all the time. Big basketball town. So like everybody had hoop dreams. I had crazy hoop dreams. I'm thinking I'm going to be the next Carlos Boozer or something like that. And I think in high school football in Alaska is like college football out here. Like every single school has their little like culture and stuff like that. And it's like mad rivalries, and it's just a big scenic event. So it was a blast.
How did your family end up in Alaska in the first place?
Oof, well, long story short, my uncle, which is like my dad's older brother, was in Alaska, and so when my dad went to the States, my uncle was there, and so he just followed him there.
Where was your dad living before that?
Nigeria.
Okay.
Nigeria.
Okay. Did it feel like home to you, or were you always kind of drawn to maybe the football culture in the rest of the United States?
I mean, I loved football, from like a very young age. Like I was telling someone earlier, like my favorite TV show was early NFL Network, NFL Game Day. So I'd always be watching that. Like I'd be imagining myself in like championship seasons I had when I was a kid, as like the America's Team documentaries all the time. And so it was only until like when I got older when I realized that like the business of football in terms of getting recruited and trying to get to the next level, that Alaska wasn't really the greatest fit for me structured at the time. And that's when I kind of wanted to take my talents to the lower 48 just to see what I can do. But I always loved Alaska. I always loved, what that state did for me. So
What did your dad do for a living in Alaska?
he does real estate. He owns a couple of apartments across Alaska, and he does healthcare as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I thought you were going to say like he hunts moose or something like that.
Nah, not at all. Nah. He's a fisher though. He'll fish, but not hunting. No, we don't do that.
So when you go to Bishop Gorman,
Yeah.
did you leave your family in Alaska, or how was that dynamic working out?
Well, my mom was doing her practicum in Vegas, so I kind of just hitchhiked with her, and so we lived in Vegas for about half a year. And then my little brothers came, and my dad came as well. So it was only like a 6-month span where it was just me and my mom.
And I'm assuming the decision to go to Bishop Gorman was because
It was my decision for sure, because I was going to go to Liberty, and I already watched Snoop and Son, so I already kind of knew the football scene in Vegas, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to Vegas and not going to Gorman. So.
and you wanted to win a championship, and you wanted to get noticed by scouts,
Correct.
by
That
college
was,
coaches.
yeah, 100%.
You won a high school championship, right?
Yep.
What do you remember about that?
Oof. I just remember how hard it was. I remember my coach telling me that, like, in the middle of the summer, where it's like, you're going to win this championship, either you're going to be with us or I'm going to drag you to the mountaintop. And I just remember that, through, like, the most adverse moments that we were able to pull out wins. We played a lot of talented teams back then. Played St. Thomas Aquinas and Bubba blocked the freaking game-winning field goal. Just been a lot of times where you're just put in that, like, adverse situations, and like it takes a amount of connectedness to your teammates, a lot of love and camaraderie. You got to be close. It's not just about having talented players. You got to have players that like each other. You got to have staff that works together. It takes a whole village to be in places like this. So
Was there a culture shock being in Las Vegas at first? Because that's a little bit different from where you grew up.
it's just so hot. It's so hot. Like, being from Alaska, I didn't understand what it's like to be in Vegas in the summer, but like to live there, it's actually kind of terrible. But but I mean, culture in the sense that I would say Alaska is more outdoorsy. There's a lot of things you can do outdoors. Vegas is kind of like business, like flashing lights everywhere. Everything's moving fast. It's like at a faster pace, and the people moving that way either. And that's not like a knock on them or anything. That's just what it is, and it's just two different cultures for sure.
Last thing I got for you, so you win a high school state championship.
Yep.
You're a win away from a college football national championship.
Yep.
Have you wrapped your mind just around how, like, at each step of the way, at each level, you're getting to the highest point?
A little bit, It's definitely coming from a place like Gorman, makes like games like this like conceptually easier to comprehend. But at the end of the day, like, the game hasn't even started yet. There's no winners yet, and we gotta have to earn it. We're playing a great Michigan team, and we're not gonna look over that because, like, oh, I won a national championship in high school, and like we're in a national championship now. Every game must be earned. Every king will be crowned. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of work to do. A lot of game planning, a lot of scheme things that we can get better at right now, so we can be in the best position to win that game on Monday.
I do appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Yeah.
You started playing basketball and then switched over to football.
Yeah.
So when did you just essentially, when you made that switch over to football, when did you know that CFP was
Oof. So the reason why I switched to football really was because I was moving to Gorman, and Gorman's also a great basketball school. And I realized that, like, the way my height is going, it's not going to end out very well for me. So I thought football was just the best route. You go to like these super high prep schools, and I think there's a good benefit to it because you're playing, for like the highest rewards and stuff. And so you would get to these moments. I think like as a kid, you always want to win championships, and you always try to push it. And to get to this point, and it wasn't just me. There's like a lot of teammates, and you have to have camaraderie. You have to have players that they really like each other, and they all have the focus of winning. When you see teams that are go like 8-5, like 7-6, like they have talented players, but there's a lot of focus on other things. I've seen it with my own eyes, or it's just like leadership, whereas it's like you see something wrong, but either you don't feel like it's your place, or you just simply just don't care, or you just don't want to acknowledge it because you want to get chores. And I think the difference with this team is that we're always holding each other accountable. We're always striving to be the best, and we're always trying to win games. And I think, it's a huge testament to Coach DeBoer and this staff, because that was like the first thing they instilled when they got here, being a player-led team. That's super important in college football today. And, it just means the world. It means the world to be in this moment.
This is year 10 of CFP.
Year 10.
It's going to be the last year that it's 4 teams.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to you to see that last team?
It's a special moment. It's a special moment because, not to say that it's going to be easier going forward, but it's definitely a lot harder getting into this moment now. And, the filter of the best teams, you're playing the best teams. That's as simple as that. Everybody gets a month off, obviously in the future. I mean, injuries are going to happen. You might not get the best teams, or you may get your best teams. So just being able to get this like super exclusive group and be a part of this is definitely it's definitely great to be part of college football history. I do. It was Oregon getting blown up by Ohio State, but it was a cool experience. It was definitely new from the BCS system. I don't remember it crazy well, but it was definitely a unique thing to see. Yeah, thank you.
You talked earlier about growing up watching the NFL game day and seeing yourself as championships and seeing yourself. Now that you're here, now that you're at the mountaintop, how does this moment compare to what you dreamed about? What does this experience?
It's a lot more business than I thought it would be. A lot more meetings, a lot more staff. But it's awesome. But it's absolutely a blast, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Because you strive to get to these moments. You wouldn't. It comes with the good and the bad and the ugly, and there's been a lot of adversity that comes to getting to this point. But it's been a ride, and I think that's what it's all about. Being able to, work your butt off, work your tail off, and to get to this point. And even if you don't get to this point, it's the fact that you tried and you made the effort to. And I think that us as a team, we all came together and came to the conclusion that this is our goal. This is what we're gonna do. That's what the slogan "Us versus Us" is all about. We have the opportunity to get to a point like this, but because of the skill set that we had, every team can beat us, and we can beat every team, and it's up to us to make that decision. So making that decision to put your 4 foot forward and try to compete and try to win every game that you can, and it starts by winning every rep, in the weight room, in winter conditioning, and in certain literally every aspect. So it's been great. Thank you.
So, lighter question for you. You've done obviously Sugar Bowl and national championship. What's been the best kind of bowl swag's kind of weird way to say for the championship, but what swag have you liked so far as a player?
Man, well, it's kind of hard to say that because Damian Lillard just came yesterday and just decked us out in a whole bunch of swag. So I would definitely say the swag that we got last night. We got 3 jump shoots. We got 3 pairs of shoes. We got a couple hats and a couple sandals. So that was pretty hard to beat. That what happened last night was pretty hard to beat. But it's just honestly, it's just kind of just the vibe and experiences. It's just kind of it's a level up. It's like when you're playing a video game and then you unlock something, then you get that fresh gear. That's kind of what it's like. it's just that next level, that next juice. So
I love it. Like some of you guys have said, just really sweat it.
yeah, no, these are hard. Yeah,
We've seen what Michael can do on the field. We've
Yeah.
also seen him show up in the Heisman Trophy ceremony with every player's hands on the inside of the jacket. What has he meant for this team?
it's meant the world. You know, like when I say that he came in here just like putting his head down and working, that's exactly what he did. You know, and like it was kind of like in the spring where we're watching film and then Mike makes a certain throw and I'm sitting there. He's like, "Who made that throw?" I'm like, "Yeah, that was Mike." I'm like, "Yeah, how about no one touch number 9 for the rest of spring ball?" And just he's so down to earth. You know, he's a person that that he's very approachable. He's gonna give you the best advice, and you know that he loves his team. Authentically. There's no superstar in him. He's really just a humble guy who just wants the ball, and I think we all follow him in that sense.
How has this team used being an underdog the last few games as motivation?
I mean, I think that's just kind of the culture of this team. Like we don't have crazy 5 stars. Like the tradition of Washington is just people that get their head down and they work. And they try to they just try to win everything because that's what that's what this is all about. It's about winning. It's not about how many stars you have. How much money you got. Football is all about who scores more points at the end of the day, and that's kind of what we embody, and that's kind of what that's kind of what we're all about. It's not about all that. We're trying to win games, and who's with us who we got is all we need at the end of the day. So.
What would winning a national title mean to you?
Would mean the world. It would mean the absolute world. Just because this university hasn't won it in such a long time, and they talk about how great those moments are, and the fact that we've gone through much as a program just in like the past 4 years. It would mean the absolute world to be able to get that thing done and finish out strong. And that being my last college football game would be a pretty sweet ending as well. So appreciate it.
What's the average winter temperature? Is it always below freezing?
Oof.
Like for the high always below freezing.
I say the high is probably like 25. To be honest, it's bad. It's bad. At its peak, it's really bad. Like there's a few days where it's for surely below 0. Yeah. Yeah.
Eddie, how are you?
Doing great.
It's not often probably that you see an offense like this that probably doesn't care to hide what they want to do to you. They
Yeah.
just want to run it down your throat and they're going to tell you that and they're going to try to do it. How excited does that make you just knowing that it's going to be a physical confrontation with that kind of matchup?
I mean, it's just it's best of the best. It's mano a mano. It's a 12 round fight, and it's always exciting to be able to play those games and just line up, play ball, and just see which one's really better. At the end of the day, that's kind of what you play football for. It's what we did as little kids. Which one's better. None of the tricky, rinky dink stuff. So give a lot of credit to that team. They fight hard. Obviously being in Ann Arbor, I know all of what they're about. They're aggressive, they're tough. They're gonna show you what you're gonna do. They're gonna try to punch you in the head. They're gonna come up with a game. They're gonna have a sledgehammer, and they're gonna go for the head. So, I'm definitely know what they're all about.
You mentioned it. You were there 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
You guys were a very different team, and they did exactly what they wanted to do. They
Yeah.
ran 340 yards.
Yeah.
How much different do you feel like like you are and everybody around you is that kind of lived through that experience?
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we don't know until we play, right? But at the end of the day, like, it's always about maturity and about growth. And, I think this team has grown exponentially since then, in terms of just, like, just going into certain environments, with, like, certain brands and just being able to, like, not play inferior, which is something that, I always talk to Coach DeBoer about, like, when he first initially got here and what we had to cut out. And, being able to play and compete at a high level regardless of who we're playing, and just that, like, truly playing the game of football for what it's worth and not trying to put yourself at a disadvantage about who you're playing, So, this time around, we're going to be a more confident team. We're going to be a team that, is going to, really try to win and really try to, compete for everything that we can get. So.
This is finally your last game at
Yeah.
Had a lot of last along the way.
A lot of potential last ones for sure. So
Does it feel like it? Does it feel like, okay, this is coming to an end for me, or is that not kind of something?
it really hasn't, but I know it will, and it's been amazing. It's been an amazing ride, and I think this is a great way to end it. Not gonna lie, a pretty sweet way to end it. But there's a lot of work to do, and on Monday, the game's gonna go, and then after the game, there might be a few tears shed, but it's just right now it's just work, just as usual, work as usual. So.
I want to ask you one random question. I talked to
Yeah.
Rich Newton for a while.
Yeah.
A guy who was the man here and just had to kind of accept a reduced role.
Yeah.
And it seems like he's been a great teammate along the way. And not everybody can stay through that.
Yeah.
What have you seen from him in terms of being a teammate and being that consummate person throughout? It's got to be kind of a complicated situation.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's definitely hard for Rich to, go through what he went through. I mean, we had this, I think we did our knee roughly around the same time. And so, for him to be able to, not only help me throughout my process, but to help, other players and, to bring people along. It takes a village. I don't take it lightly when I say that, we're not here without people like Rich. We're not here without people like Mason Wheeler or Teddy Purcell, you know what I mean? Because, it takes everybody to be able to do their job and to accept their role, full-heartedly. And it just means the world, for Rich to be able to be with us because, it helps me because I'm from his class and, it keeps us together. It keeps our chemistry going. So, it's definitely huge. And it's definitely a huge sacrifice that he gave for us.